In Commitment 2020, a Davie County gun store owner is running for re-election to Congress. Ted Budd is hoping for a third term. The Republican incumbent's being challenged by Democrat Scott Huffman in the state's 13th congressional district. Our Bill O'Neill spoke with both candidates about where they stand on certain issues. We begin with Congressman Budd.
Ted Budd has led a charmed political life. He won his first GOP primary by beating out 16 other candidates. 2 years later, he defeated a Democrat who spent millions of dollars on the race. Now he has money, experience, and the backing of the president. Are there any issues in which the president and you don't agree upon?
Well, look, I'm a North Carolinian. He's a New Yorker. We have very different styles.
Ted Budd doesn't name a single issue where he disagrees with the president, but says after getting to know the president, he sees him as an honest man.
I never knew my grandfather, but there's a saying that he had, is just do what you say you're going to do. And it's kind of become a family motto. And I really see that trait in the president. He does what he says he's going to do, or at least he gives it his all. And he's still doing that. I really sense that he loves the American people. And he's a New Yorker. Let's remember that. That's very different than our style here in North Carolina.
What is your reaction to the president's comments apparently urging voters in North Carolina to vote twice?
I think his intention there was actually to go and make sure that your mail-in ballot or your absentee ballot was actually confirmed. He would never encourage, look, I know him, he's a straight shooter. You may or may not like his style, but everything he wants to do is fairly straightforward. And it's about confirming that your one vote actually counted and was in place.
Following the president's comments, North Carolina State Board of Elections warned voters that voting twice is a felony. Do you believe, like the president, that this whole mail-in voting thing could lead to fraud?
I think we've got some great systems that have been around for decades, including in-person, early voting, and absentee voting. Some people can vote can vote by mail successfully, but I think the great systems that we already have in place are plenty sufficient. And when it comes to mail volume,
no peace! No peace!
We asked Congressman Budd about the Black Lives Matter movement.
When you look at the question of do Black Lives Matter, absolutely, when it comes to people of color. But when you look at BLM Inc. as an organization, very destructive organization.
Do you think that the police treat the black community and the white community the same?
It's going to depend on where they are. I see lots of different areas. I see rural poor, I see urban poor, and I see some similar problems in each one. Some family challenges, and I think police love their communities.
On Social Security, Budd says he would never change benefits for those already retired or nearing retirement, but adds that changes are needed for future generations. Talking about extending the age, lowering the benefits.
Those are all calculations that need to be on the table, but you have to clearly communicate that you can't adjust it for those who are already in the system. This is not your whole retirement. So we need to change the expectations, make sure people are actually working to save more. So they need to be fiscally responsible for themselves.
The House is about to vote on marijuana, taking it off Schedule 1, decriminalizing it in effect. And I'm wondering how you vote on that.
Though I'll absolutely be a no. Look, I see a lot of problems with this, and we see disconnections between the states, and there's a difference between decriminalizing and legalizing this. Lots of states are already starting to decriminalize it, but it's still a federally banned substance, and I think it needs to be that way.
When Ted Budd ran for the first time back in 2016, he told me he favored term limits. He told the Charlotte Observer he would limit his service to 3 terms. But a spokesman for the Budd campaign now says that because Congress never adopted a constitutional amendment imposing term limits, Mr. Budd will not, quote, lock himself into any timetable regarding his political decisions. If Budd wins this election, he would begin his 3rd term. Bill O'Neill, WXII 12 News.